Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Drunken Tarrasque, where the smoke is billowing up from the floors and we don't know why.
It's hell, Mike.
It's
It's the
not Halloween.
demons.
It's demons, yes. Well,
It's a demon in the basement, Mike.
we all
That's
have our
why.
own demons, but the biggest demon that we have for today, why your DM's world sucks at world building and sucks at his world. Ah. Taste that
It,
bitterness coming up from all the people that I
yeah,
know that be out there.
it's like I can hear the sound of thousands of DMs just kind of simultaneously screaming all at once up in the distance.
Yes,
Be like, no, no, I don't suck.
yes, you sunk donkey balls. But here's the reason why we thought this was a good topic to pull up. Okay, every problem when we look at this is you have to paint a picture, a world for your players to be in. And there arises a huge problem. DMs have been encouraged to tell the story, the narrative aspect. And when you start manipulating, trying to do things like that, you're not looking at world building. And with world building, the basic foundation you have to understand what this means is the foundation that shall never change, that is permanently constant, irregardless of whatever story that's going on. It's essentially the basic theme of the tone that you will never change. If you want to be in a narrative language department.
Don't say irregardless if you ever, you're gonna piss off anybody who's an English major, but.
They can go eat my asshole. Yeah.
Don't say irregardless. Okay.
Fuck the English department. Anyway, that's the thing is that when it comes down to world building, you have all this generic advice that comes up. And it's very much in this materialistic concept. That's 1 second. Now, the thing is, when you start building from a materialistic concept, this is really where many of these DMs' advice columns start to waver and shake a ton. Is that they'll look at the basic mechanical foundations of start small, work on this little place, find out why it exists. And that's kind of the generic, everyone says that because no fucking shit, Sherlock. But therein lies a very big problem. You don't understand. You're not building a culture. You're building a mechanical, materialistic place that really has no soul to it.
Also, most DMs are just the one person that of a group of friends they manage to talk into doing it. Like, not everybody is really as into it as you are, Mike. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Like, a lot of times it's like, well, it's your turn, or you're the one who has to do it. And so, yeah, they're not going to go in as hardcore and meticulous with all of these things. Or they might have a story in mind that they're interested in above everything else, whereas they should be just creating enough so that you have opportunities to engage with the world, but not so much that players can't really get into anything or can't do anything or have no agency.
Well, I mean, here's the reason why. Again, one of the other reasons why I'm going to fight at the styles of creation of the foundation is the biggest importance is mythology that comes with it, local myths and legends. Bigger things is that when you have world building, people and characters and NPCs are going to leave an indelible mark on your world. You cannot miss out on this, and it needs to have a aspect that, again, many of the DM advice columns do not point out. Something that's far-reaching. One of the biggest things, Gary Gygax, Temple of Elemental Evil. Everyone who has played it still uses the town of Hamlet, constantly in their goddamn worlds. And the reason why is if you look at how meticulously it's crafted, it's a believable place that you could see lasting for generations, not just a session. That is the key focus. I suggest everyone to look at it, because, be honest, when you have a sequel to a module, Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil, and you're seeing the noticeable changes, that is world design that you need to take care of. Yes, it takes a shit ton of work, but you can come back to that module a million times or that place a million times and not grow bored of it. Rachel already knows the hints that are in the Citadel of Tomar because they've already started to doing that. And one of the other great things about world building, which, guess what? Your players help you with it. The Citadel of Tomar now has a cobalt issue. And Rachel will start laughing because she knows what
Oh
happened.
no.
Yes, that's the thing is with world building, it does not last more than a single session from its initial creation. Like that is, as a DM, as a world builder, that is the last moment. The moment you finish saying this is my place that I've
Mhm.
created. That is the last moment that you have complete entire agency. The moment your players touch it, you must always evolve it through their actions. Because if you
And
do not do that, you will not actually have a real world.
well, another thing I was going to bring up, or specifically bring up, is that not everybody is necessarily thinking about it from a writer's perspective. In that they're not thinking about these things as having setups and payoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So you set up a scene, you set up something that exists in the world. You go out of your way to mention that it exists, and then you may or may not ever come back to it. But I know you do that. There will be something that exists that we may encounter early on in the campaign, or we may notice, and then later on it shows up again.
Well, here's the other important thing when Rachel's pointing out always have a payoff. Here's the other thing. If you have a plot thread that has officially ended or no other player wants to return to, this is the important thing about world building. This is the time where the DM should, in his mind and in his notes, write out what happened because no one attacked this problem soon enough. This is a fundamental thing that a lot of DM advice columns hint at, or a couple of them had said, but they don't go the full length. There have been scenes that they've left NPCs behind. Rachel already knows which NPCs that they're not. She's going to be having a panic attack. I can hear it in my head. I can hear it from a distance of shit. We didn't talk to this person. This person's moving their own direction. What the hell is Mike going to do? Because when you write those little things in the notes in the margins of, they saved this character or they executed these enemy villains and left one alive, that enemy villain, even if it's a minor character that made no importance to you in the beginning, they're coming back to bite you and hunt you down because you, as the player's characters, have made
Oh
an
no.
impact. Yeah,
I just remembered who we left behind. The guy with the hearts.
yes, that's one of them.
Oh shit, we left all those people fucking behind to
Uh,
their own devices.
yeah, well, you don't know about the enemies that survived one of your attacks. Oh, goody, goody.
Oh fuck, and we left all those fire snakes in there, didn't we?
See, ladies and gentlemen, this is how world building is a great aspect because the moment you give a hint to one of your players, you can notice the whole brain process, the brain's clicking, going fuck, 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 fuck. Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Now I regret the fact that we didn't do a game this week. I miss it. Like there was so much that we didn't get to. Like I even this particular podcast is a little bit late, unfortunately, because of other things we got going on right now. Good things, but
But yes,
other
but that's the thing is like if you notice with world building, every reason why my Rachel's panicking, thinking is because you know it, but it's that the players leave a mark on your world. This is why when you have homebrewed your world and you use every session, every play session, every group that's ever played into it to build upon it, each time you do it, it will get better. Every time you think about it, it will get better. Why? Because you're now using several other players' minds and their ingenuities in the world. This is why, again, world building, the foundation is very simple. My world is this specific spot, you're reconquering your kingdom, or these several lords' kingdoms, and you're a bit player. You do that, guess what? You know the themes that are going to happen with reconquering your lands. You're fighting against enemies. You're regaining old relics of the past that might help you or hinder you. You're going to untomb new enemies and make new ones, and you're going to find old heroes of the past. That's a simple concept that I'm never going to break, because that's the core foundation. Guess what happens with that world building? Yeah, Rachel's already giggling because the guy that eats hearts is already in that game that they've unleashed. And it's now terrifying.
Another reason that your DM probably sucks is that they probably are lazy. And I'm just gonna put this out there. I'm not saying every single fucking DM out there sucks. And I don't think Mike would even agree with that. I think there's just room for improvement. And there are far too many DMs out there that have figured out the lazy way of doing shit. But there are little things that you can do to get things over the edge into Awesomeville, you know?
Well, here's one of the other things with DM advice columns. When you have a DM that is paying for their services, running several different sessions and games, and is constantly having a Twitch channel or YouTube channel posting up, like, I'm doing a game this day, and then this day, and then this day, it's like, you have a ton of data coming in. You don't actually have the time to A, customize it, B, actually work through it. Now, you might be having interesting and fun games, but they are going to be very surface level enjoyable. And your world building, it's only possible when you have break periods, rest periods, and times to let the world permeate.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they reused monsters and things that they have set up for the other game. Mm-hmm. And how are you going to know? You're not in that game.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, is that this is also the power with world building, taking real characters. It's one of the reasons why, basically my concept is, if you play in my game or I play in your game, your characters are free to be pilfered. It's a concept that every DM, every player does do intrinsically. Nothing wrong with it, but it's also because sometimes we need to test some things out. World building is, if you're going to be honest, is one of a lot of bashing your fingers, stubbing your toes, figuring it out. It's a messy process, and you have to embrace that messy process. And again, when you embrace that and realize with world building, you're not having as much control over it as you believe, and you let go of that, I'm the DM, I control my world, your world will evolve radically, quickly, and in ways you will not expect, but in good ways, because when you have players that do things you don't expect, like create explosive nuclear bombs with magic, yeah.
You're already saying the one thing that most DMs do not want to hear, which is to cut the umbilical cord a little bit. You know, let go a little bit of the world that you want to create, and let the characters do some things, be able to make some marks on the world and affect the way things work. Like there are some DMs who have a hard time with that concept. If you fuck over like the one little thing in their world, they will go out of their way to try and make you pay for that. And I don't know why you would do that, because why wouldn't you let them try to...
Well, that's a deeper-rooted problem of styles of play, which, again, you're probably going to have me have a massive rant on that, maybe even personally, because guess what? This is the thing, is when you hear a narrative DM with world building, it's a collaborative story effort, except when it comes down to what I want to say. And this is the danger of, again, not having a good world builder possibilities. Me is that I do all these readings. I also look at outsides. I listen to other DMs, even DMs I disagree with. And each stage you do with this building, to be honest, what the other thing that most of these DMs don't tell you, to be an honest, great world builder, it's going to take you a long time. It's going to be taking little layers upon little layers of session after session, group after group that you've gone through to build your world. That they're going to be your test subjects. They're going to be your guinea pigs breaking your world. And embrace them breaking your world.
Yeah. And you know, here's something that people at home need to hear about, because they don't realize just how much Mike here obsesses about stuff. He keeps a really detailed notebook. He's shown me pages from this notebook where he will go and meticulously mark things down and go out of his way to get pens that each have different color inks and stuff. Like, he takes a long time to go through. Not everybody needs to do that, but some level of thought beyond making sure that you've got a table to randomly create enemies and stuff, it can be beneficial to your game. Go out of your way just a little bit.
Well, this is the thing, as many of the other DMs do not tell, the ugly side of the note keeping. World building is not as glorious as many of these DMs want to play. This is why when you look at most of these DM channels, they'll have the green screen behind them, they'll look at the camera, they'll act animated, they'll put on weird stuff, they'll try to get their voice all up and down. It's like, you're giving me a show without any substance. You're giving me fucking sugar when I want fucking meat and potatoes. And this is the problem. They don't know what they're doing. They can't do it, so they're giving you this glossy show with all the editing tricks to give you the lie that they know what they're talking about. World building comes with understanding cultural stuff.
Are you talking smack about Matthew Mercer and his perfect hair, Mike? Is that what you're doing?
No, no, it's not Matthew Mercer, but you could say that. But it's the fact of the matter is.
No, I'm just joking. Like, his hair is like, he just spent some time with the Flatiron. There's nothing special.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. If someone actually needs to answer a world-building question, always direct it to the channel, because, trust me, it'll take a while for me to figure it out, but world-building takes time. It takes thought. It takes the ability to have the courage to say, this is my world, attack it. Yeah?
Sorry, and that's the problem that we're dealing with, I think. Well, with the popularization of the hobby, is there's a tendency to have this idea and this ideal of what DMing is and what playing D&D is about and where the fun in the hobby is. Because if you expect, like, you're going to go to a game that's going to be like a lot of these streaming channels, most of them are dolled up, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Things are usually not that,
the real nitty-gritty.
Yeah, the real nitty-gritty is you usually have a bunch of nerds around a table, or they're online.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them has put a lot of work into meticulously crafting a story, and pretty much a couple minutes in, all of that's pretty much shot to hell. Mm-hmm. So there you are.
That's the thing, is world building is about embracing, again,
embracing getting shot to hell.
Yes. This is why world building is so difficult for many of these bad DMs that essentially have big channels, is that world building, when you really come down to it, is embracing the chaos that comes with a game. Is that the DM should be this law and order mentality guy who is ready to go, my characters are the agents of fucking chaos in my world, and smile at how they wreck things and go, okay, the world's going to respond to you in such a way. Not as a dick, but as the invisible hand of God going, you've kicked the king out of his kingdom. Okay, what is this guy going to do? Oh, he's going to rally his troops. He's going to hunt you down.
Basically a fair and measured response to what it is you have done that makes sense to the world. So, are you saying it's not a measured response? Are you saying that you go out of your way to be a little bit of a dick? Is that what you're saying, Mike?
Depends on how the players responded. If you deposed a tyrannical king, there's a good chance that there's going to be people helping you and some of his allies going to this. But if you are a bunch of jackass players who are just going to go, I'm going to kill everything in sight, you might call down the thunder. And I might be reaping the whirlwind.
Oh God. So yeah, if you go in and you steal something that's incredibly valuable from an area that was locked down,
like Droth did. Like Droth, who steals the officer's signet of a mercenary captain, and I have a bunch of his men literally showing up in full armor going, I think you have something of me, and fast thinking of players actually got it out without a single death needed. Yeah, stuff like that, where everyone knew, like, okay, this is a tense moment, we shouldn't be fucking around, but still allows you to fuck around.
Well, I was going to say, like, let's say that there's this heavily guarded room and it's got all these layers of security. And the reality of why it is that everything is locked down is because this item is incredibly dangerous. And you're like, oh, well, it's got all this security. It must be something valuable and important that can sell for a lot of money. And you take it. Pretty sure there are consequences for something like that.
Well, again, for the biggest thing about world building is about, as Rachel said, equal and measured response. Again, the DM's job in world building for your character is for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's essentially consequence. Your characters do an action, the DM's job is to make a consequence that seems legitimate to the action.
Well, your idea of DMing is very different than I think a lot of people's idea of DMing, because most people think they don't think of themselves so much as a member of the team or a member of, or important, someone as important as the player themselves. They think of them as something different. They think of them as something like an adversarial type. They think that it is their job to try and kill you, and that is the most of their job. But it's like, no, it's not all of it.
Wait, that's the other thing when it comes down to a DM. The reason why Rachel realized it's like, I'm a different DM, it comes down to this. If I'm putting the time and effort to build a world, my time and effort's also going to be spent on building your character. And that's the other important thing about world building is you have to find a way for every one of your players to fit in your world. Where, okay, Nephenor, one of our friends, wanted to be an Aasimar paladin. Well, Aasimars are still in the world, but the area that I'm setting it in, it's not quite so common. Many of them have been slaughtered by tieflings. So Nephenor went, okay, I understand. This is part of your universe. So he's going to infuse that into his character, who wants to go on a crusade to butcher all the people that killed his people out of vengeance and honor and duty to protect his people. That builds your world. That is legitimate world building. So guess what? The moment he retires that character who's gone on a crusade to protect the people who have been slaughtered almost to a man in this part of the world, it's going to have an effect. So the moment he actually runs across another Aasimar, you know what's going to happen. That's going to change his perspective in his world and build more upon the world. That's kind of how you do it. You got Rachel, who has a pixie, who, again, there are pixie in the world. They're not as common. They're in actual specific groves, which are very rare and hard to get to. And again, because pixie magic is very important and potent in this world, tieflings want to get to it. And then you have our mythical grand goddess, Tenenbrand of Kobolds, who I don't even know how to place this in my world, but I'm running with it.
She's not a real goddess, but that's what they think. They think she's a goddess, and so they're worshiping her like a goddess.
Exactly, and that's kind of the most important thing about it. The character wanted to be so goddamn powerful at level 1. Well, she believes she's a goddess because she's had epic rolls throughout the campaign. That's a legitimate world-building concept. It's crazy, it's stupid, it's retarded, but it's legitimate. Because guess what? Like, who in their right mind is a goddess at level 1? Well, this one character certainly thinks so, and I'm, by God, going to infuse that in my world, because guess what? When she deals with other dragon-like creatures, she will address herself in such a noble and high manner, and some people are going to look at her like, oh my god, look what she's done, or oh my god, look at that gear, she must be something powerful, important, and you'll have other ones looking at her like, oh, you fucking hack, I'm gonna either put you down or let you think you got the upper hand on me, fuck you. And that builds an actual legitimate real world, because there's going to be responses of, oh, I love you, and responses of, read between the lines, asshole.
I'll still never get over what happened down in the damn dungeon.
What's in the dungeon stays in the dungeon.
Oh my god.
Or you go through the paywall of Patreon.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What do you mean, the paywall? We don't even have a Patreon.
Maybe we should. Anyway, but this is the case when it comes down to world building.
It's gonna come. Who's gonna give us money? I swear to God, like we do.
We don't deserve it anyway, but none of these people anyway. But this is the thing when it comes down to world building. This is what it comes down to world building, is these little stages that you have to add up inch by inch, stage by stage. You have to embrace the chaos of characters. You as a DM should be a just DM who looks at things and embraces the chaos that will come your way. Again, there's this give and take. And so many DMs suck at it because they want the narrative, they want the story, they want their storylines. Like, no, if that's the case, write a fucking book. It's gonna suck balls. But when you do a DM, embrace the chaos, embrace the quirks that come with it. Because when you start embracing that shit, your games, you're gonna leave with a smile. Even if it didn't go your way, you're gonna leave with a smile going, this was a fun game. This was an interesting game. I don't care. This was good. I had a good, enjoyable time. And when you do, it's going to show in your world building when you take those meticulous notes. Because, to be honest, I'm going to tell you something.
Where's the chaos? Embrace it.
Yes. Well, here's one of the other hints I'm going to tell you. Even if you have random tables, and if you're just doing a random mechanical game and you kind of want to get into world building, here's one of the better hints I'm going to give you through random table running. And this is kind of what I've done. I have a bunch of tables where my players could run through. The moment they run into it, again, notes in the margin of why are they here, even if it's just a single sentence. And you take that thought and you just run with it going, oh, there's shadow mastiffs here. Where these players were being hounded in this forest nearby. Well, why are the Shadow Masters here? Well, what's a Shadow Master? Well, it's ethereal energy from the dark plane of existence. Well, I don't like a different plane of existence, so I'm literally having dark energy seeping into creatures and monsters, which are going to infuse it. Well, Shadow Masters are pretty low on the totem pole through CR level, if you want to be specific. So that's going to mean there's something more powerful out there. So you might have Shadow Elves, Shadow Dwarves. You might actually have a Shadow Dragon ready to rend your from existence, consuming your soul, or stuff like that. And Rachel's quiet because she knows, like, fuck.
Well, you're really good. No, like, you put a lot of thought into all of this, and I appreciate it. I think everybody else at our table appreciates it. But I mean, that's really. Here's the thing. I also think that it's possible to have a really cool game when you do things on random, because you're going to get all kinds of really crazy stuff. But like I said, it can't hurt for all of this to at least make sense in the world that you've created, or within the home brewing that you've done for that particular world. But there should be some level of consistency. That it should make sense, like you mentioned. So yeah, I mean, we're really just here to give some tips and help out a little bit, you know?
I would say tweet at the Drunken Tarrasque. I'm probably going to set up a Minds account and stuff like that and ask questions because, or find a way to contact us, because we're going to honestly treat it like a real Demon's Advice column if anyone ever asks, because when you build a world, when you build these things, it takes time. It's not one of these generic 5 minutes responses. This is like when you actually ask a serious question, we will give a serious answer. And like,
or even ask us on Twitter, because like we pop our head in ever so often, and we'll definitely respond to you guys in a timely manner.
Again, I will probably set up my own Minds account and stuff like that to actually allow expanded responses. And if we get enough of them, we'll honestly give you a video on it and take our time to pull it apart, because most of the DMs out there are going to give you the generic answer. We'll spend the time to think on it. We'll even say, hey, we'll think as long as it takes to give you a real answer and not give you this generic, oh, you just do this, and you kind of just roll your ways, use your opinion. No, we'll actually give you a gritty response, because we do our best to try to play other games and understand games from different perspectives, and we read enough to go, yeah, this is how you should do it.
And we're also open to listening to other people's thoughts and ideas about what it is that we've had to say. So, yeah, I mean, we do actually read the comments. We do actually go through all this stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's a good way of ending it. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Prepare for the ethereal nature to consume your soul in world building.
Well, that went to a dark place. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Be careful of the monster underneath your bed.